Hello, everyone. My name is Cathy Bollinger. I'm Managing Director of York County Community Foundation's Embracing Aging Initiative, where we work to change how people experience aging in York County, Pennsylvania. One of the ways we do this is by interviewing people over the age of 50 who share ways that they are defying stereotypes about aging. And I'm really excited to have our guest with us today. His name is Douglas Zinn. Good morning, Douglas.
Good morning.
I met Douglas several weeks ago. We were at an event that had to do with aging in place concepts. We were talking about aging in place concepts. And in doing so, Douglas just had so many great ideas and just a passion for continuing to do things that keeps him engaged in the community. And I wanted him to be able to share some of those tips and ideas with you. So go ahead, Douglas. Tell us what you're involved in. What's important to you?
Okay, thank you, Cathy. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. I have moved to Pennsylvania 3 years ago, and I live in New Freedom, Pennsylvania, which is by the border between Maryland and the state of Pennsylvania. I've learned since I've been here that the state is extremely huge. I never imagined so many counties and so many people and so many farmlands, and I've been very impressed with it. As a newcomer, I found that there were opportunities for me to learn so much about myself as well as the community in which I had moved into. And I thought I could share with the audience some of my experiences since moving here, as well as some of my earlier experiences, because they make and contribute to who I am today. I will first start off by telling everyone I'm 73 years old, and I am an identical twin. And I have, in my past, I have always attempted to help people. I enjoy helping people in my roles in the public health sector at the federal, state, and local level, and in the community. And I have lived a very exciting life and very fruitful and rewarding life as a result of those efforts. And I'll start by just giving you an example. In 2017, when I was 68 years old, I have a younger daughter who just turned 20. And in 2017, which is 6 years ago, she would have been 14. And we were at some events that we shared together, just doing every other week. And I learned watching people and sharing with my daughter how kind people were, people who we encountered, shopping, events, theater, movies, dining out. And I was so impressed by the people I met that I wrote a book called Goodness Gracious. And it is an ebook that was published. And I shared in their stories about examples of kindness between human beings. And so I published it. I must say it is not on the bestseller list yet. It's got a ways to go, but I was so excited because I never envisioned publishing something like that. And I was only 68 years old. So I thought that was a big achievement. In 2018, when I turned 69, I lived at the time, as I mentioned earlier, I lived in Baltimore County, Maryland. I thought that I could make a difference in the precinct in which I lived in Baltimore County. And so I decided to run for the Baltimore County Council. I'd never run for political office. I was what I would call a newbie. It was a totally fresh experience. I had so much to learn. I hired a political consultant who we became close friends. I hired my treasurer, was somebody I grew up with from the age of 5. And I ran, I thought, an outstanding campaign. I gave interviews with all types of media. I met people on the street. I went to community gatherings, whatever I could do to give the word out that I was a candidate, my background, and what I could do to improve the community in Baltimore County. As many of you may know, a lot of it depends in politics on funding. And what I discovered, sadly, was that I didn't have the funding that the current Baltimore County Council individual had, and so I did not win the seat on the Baltimore County Council. but it was such an experience, and I learned so much. I wrote a book, and it was an ebook also published.
A second book, so 2
Yeah.
years in a row.
Yes, and the title of this book is not the most positive, but it was The Future Demise of Democracy, because I was so disappointed that everything revolved around money. Whereas, and there's so many outstanding candidates out there who would make a difference were they able to fund their campaign. Again, 69 years old, who would have dreamed? In 2019, I became a Social Security disability specialist with the Social Security Administration. And when I applied for the job, I indicated that, yes, I was 70 years old, but lo and behold, I had a lifetime of experience working with individuals, and I thought I could do an excellent job. I did stay there. I only stayed a year because other opportunities came up, which I thought would be more exciting for me. But I was impressed. I was the oldest person they had hired since, and most of the other 34 candidates hired were average age was 24 or 25 years old.
Wow.
So that was an achievement. Again, it's one of those special senior moments. It's like, oh my goodness, and here it is. And I took all this training, and I wound up with the second highest grade out of 34 individuals who were hired. And I was like, is this me? And yes, I was so pleased and I was excited.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And then 2020 came, and when I moved here, I didn't realize that there was a large ranch which adjoined my property in New Freedom. And the ranch, the owner of the ranch and his wife, who were very nice folks, they put a sign up they were going to sell their ranch. And it was very expensive for the offering. And I was concerned, as were other neighbors, that they had 15 acres. Maybe they would develop that with housing. We thought, oh no, the ranch was beautiful, and it had horses, it had cows, it had roosters, it had animals. It was just so wonderful. Something you read about or saw on TV when you were younger. So I thought, what could I do to preserve that and help the community? So I thought, who could benefit? And I decided veterans. And I researched and found out that horses, equestrian process can be used to help veterans using horses to deal with their post-traumatic stress disorder. And so I met with the owners of the ranch. I explored that, and they were excited. The owner was a former veteran, but he still was asking $2.5 million. So I needed to raise money, and I thought about it. So I went out and I developed what's called a 5-year plan for saving 1,000 lives, 1,000 veterans, 200 veteran lives a year, using equine assistance therapy, which is an evidence-based program. I developed a 44-page document, and I'm coming to the end of a 2.5-year commitment, writing, researching, meeting with politicians, community groups, veterans groups, individual veterans, anybody and everyone, even sending notices to the president, current president, and the past president, trying to get their support. Unfortunately, we're still in negotiations. We will find out shortly whether that occurs. But what it proved to me here, I was aged at that point 71 years old. And yes, I'm not as old as President Biden is, but I was making an effort, and I felt so enlightened by that opportunity to try to help veterans and do something valuable for them, their families, and the community at large. In comes 2021. And I'm also thinking, I also have always and taught my daughter that we should always thank people who put their lives on the line. And when you think about veterans, I see a veteran in uniform or with a cap, or I see a police officer. If you've ever been, unfortunately, in an accident, the police show up, the fire department, the EMS staff, and I thought, not enough people ever thank them. Mm-hmm. And they put their lives on the line in many instances to assist people in crisis. Mm-hmm. So I thought, what could I do to try to promote that between citizens and the folks who serve and put their lives on the line? So I came up with a nonprofit, a 501c3, approved by the IRS and legally registered in the state of Pennsylvania. And it's called Many Thanks, number 2, letter U. Many Thanks to You. It was the abbreviated code for it. And it's a website, and it's a nonprofit organization, which was just cited 3 months ago as one of the best new nonprofits in New Freedom. And I didn't know they even had a competition. I was like, what, me? So I was thrilled. And now I'm working with my graduate school in New York, Pace University, to try to promote this further in the community and meet people and promote people to exchange and express gratitude to police, fire, EMS, and veterans, active and retired. And if any of you have ever done that, you can just imagine, you say, thank you so much for your service. They light up. And it changes their whole demeanor. They tell their family, their friends, their colleagues. It spreads. And I think it's so critical. And just expressing the gratitude. Again, giving back and doing it surprisingly at an older age. I never envisioned doing this. And so I find it very rewarding. And then here I come. Oh, and here in 2022, one of the tragedies of this year is the war in Ukraine. And I read an article on Facebook. Somebody had posted that their cousin was coming from Ukraine with her 2 children, age 12 and 14. And she and the 2 boys, the husband was still fighting the war in Ukraine. And the wife and 2 children were coming to the United States. This woman was soliciting clothing for them. I thought, oh my God, what a cause. So I took my SUV, I solicited clothing from any and everybody I ever met. I filled it from front to back with clothing. They told me where they lived. I drove up and I unloaded piles, like 13 piles of clothing for a mom and 2 children.
Wow.
And when I met them, they were so loving and so sweet. My heart went out to them. So I took them to lunch. Then I took them to the DSW store in Hunt Valley and bought everybody, and mom and 2 boys, 2 pairs of shoes for everybody. And then I took them another time for dinner. And then lo and behold, and then the process began of, they had approved temporary stay in the United States under immigration. And what they had all these paperwork to do, and they had no money with them, and they traveled through 7 countries over 2.5 months, and they got ill, and then they finally arrived and had to be transported. So they come here, no money, just the belongings on their back. So then what do we do? So I thought, I'm going to try to help them. I didn't know anything about immigration naturalization service. I contacted everybody I ever knew in my entire life. I got them food stamps. I got them cash advance. I got them legal representation. I've gotten everything for them, such that last week they moved from their aunt's home into their own apartment. And they're just getting settled. I work with them and the schools for the 2 boys to get them in the classes they belong to in Hereford, in Baltimore County, in the Hereford community. The father just got and then the mother, she wanted to work, but they wouldn't give her a work permit. I worked with Social Security. I can't tell you how much work I did. However, I was so involved that I loved it because I could see what a difference it made in this family's life. And it's one thing to hear about the dilemma in Ukraine. It's another to actually be engaged and help a family. So that, but wait a minute, the best part was yet to come. In August, their father was released from the military and he arrived. So he now has a visa too. And the family is united. They're all together. And the mother and father just got jobs 2 weeks ago. So it's an immigration story that most of us have experienced through our own families. But again, at this point, I'm 73 years old. So I guess when I would wind this up, and then I met Cathy at this Grove Street meeting at the Jewish Community Center. And it just really touched me and the opportunities it presents to the community and to individuals. And having even just moved here, I've learned so much, and to be able to support them And I would love to be able to do that. And I encourage all of you to do that, because when you give of yourself, and that's how I wind this up, and take a positive attitude, you have good health, your health is better, you're more involved, you give and you get. And by sharing with individuals and the community, you learn so much about yourself, about the community, and about other people, and you grow. And what better legacy than to have of giving back for everything you have? So that's how I'll close. It's been a wonderful experience. I continue to learn every single day. I'm impressed. And this will be my legacy, to give back and help and improve the world in which we all live. So I encourage you, and I thank you for hearing my story. Thank you.
Douglas, thank you so much for sharing all that. And wow, oh my gosh, so many wonderful aspirational, inspirational, motivational things. We really appreciate you sharing. And we're very fortunate that you moved to across the state line into York County. And
Thank
we
you.
look forward to continuing to learn from you and have you be part of our community. So thank you so much. And thank you to all of you who have taken time to watch this video. For more information about Embracing Aging, visit our website at embracingaging.org. Thank you, everyone, and make it a great day.